Morning guys, it's Saturday here in sunny Northampton. The sun is actually out. Nice. So I thought I'd do an update this week. I was doing some other videos, but I'm finding it getting a bit political, so I just delete them. I think the problem we're sort of facing is, particularly in the UK at the minute, if you have like a very strong left wing mentality, you're not interested in anybody else's perspectives, for the majority of them. So when people start, say, flying the flags, they got an issue. It must be racist. It must be this. It must be that. Where they're missing stuff is British, and particularly English, have been given ground all the time. So they let their flag become a symbol of hatred, because that's what the left was saying. It's never been a symbol of hatred unless it was on the battlefield and you're sitting on the other side. The reality is, it's a definition and symbol of a people. So if you're English, the English flag is your flag. St Andrews, Scotland, St Patrick, Ireland, etc., etc. They have their saints, they have their flags, they have their identities, and it's that people are trying to erode. Now, I've been trying to work out why people would want to do that to people that they belong with. You know, because I'm not being funny. I'm not English. Not even 1% of me is English. But I actually support the flags because it's symbolic of the people. And if they want to fly the flags, so be it. I'll be honest with you, I've got probably 3 Union flags. Union flags, by the way, is the British flag, not the Union of the South in America. It's not the old Union and Confederates. So I have the British flags, I have the Scottish flags, I have Spanish flags, and we do fly them at different times of the year, or if we feel like it. But the point I'm making is, why are people pretending they're offended by a flag? And the reality is, because like the old pubs that was dismantled during the Thatcher years. So, oh look, Matt's supporting the Labours now. No, I don't support anybody. Don't support anybody. But the pubs were where people would gather, talk, and they were part of a community function. They turned them into restaurants and wine bars and dismantled the community aspect of them. But that's where people used to gather. Why do you think they're more concerned about data on the internet these days? Is because they're trying to avoid people becoming groups, because groups become dangerous over time. Groups means organisation. Groups means you're part of something. They want individuals. See, the problem with that false narrative, if everybody's an individual, they're all by default a group, because it's a group of individuals. Because if everybody's the same, then you're a part of a group. So it's stupidity in a lot of this stuff. But then I was looking at, the people complain about the flags going up, pulling them down, and I'm sitting there going, well, hang on a minute. I'm not anti anything. My life's quite simple. I just don't want people costing me money. I don't want people that are causing trouble. So a lot of the stuff I do is based on a very simple one, is do no harm, because that pretty much covers most things. So you've got this issue about flags being on lampposts and stuff, yet what's the issue? Well, you mean it starts unifying people? Why do you think they have things called bannermen? Why are you scared of people becoming unified? Is it because you keep pushing and pushing, and now you're heading down that path? That's the real problem. That's the bit they don't want to talk about, because that's another left thing. It's always about what they want, not what we want. So I've been looking at that from different perspectives, and I've been seeing it in two different ways. I've got people sort of more right, trying to say this is the beginning of something, this is a revolution, but it's not a revolution. It's a silent protest. It's not a revolution. It's symbolic. So the problem the UK has, if you're on the right, lack of real leaders. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to even get into Rupert. Is it Rupert? Oh, it is, isn't it? And then Farage, not interested. Not because they're bad people, but you need to rally people. And they're infighting and whatever, doesn't rally. I do think Reform's probably going to take a lot of votes at the next election. I pretty much guarantee that there are going to be protest votes that normally swing between Labour and Conservatives. So I can see that movement. They got into some places now, so it'd be good to see how they've improved those areas, because there has been reports of like roads being fixed that haven't been fixed for years and things like that. So they may already be making an impact, which, let's face it, when you pay your council tax or you vote for your government, you want it for you, not others. Well, that's the usual logic. But then, I'm trying to think of the phrase there. You know, like when you've got nothing, you're sort of like, well, we want that, need that, do that. And it's all your money they're spending. And I'm trying to keep away from the fact that's how socialists think. Because I get it on the grand scale of waste. But in a simplistic, like a fishing village, everybody's relying on each other. So though they'll often say they're more socialism or whatever, they're actually more military, because a military base functions as one. So if you've got a fishing village with 10 fishermen, the 10 fishermen function for the village, and you find they look after each other. They function as one. You'll have a witch doctor or whatever, you know. Obviously, I'm not talking about UK fishermen, by the way. I'm just hypothetical, thinking of some remote village where you've got about 40 people that live in one community. So you've got hunter-gatherers, you've got people looking after the kids, you've got people that are fishing, you name it. It functions as a single unit. And it may not even need money, because people function as a unit. In that society, it works. Why does it work? Because if everybody starts becoming dead weight, we all become dead. We've created environments where we allow people to live off others, and then we've now compounded it and made it worse. And I say we because, unfortunately, see, I don't vote. I haven't had anybody that actually say that's the guy for me, right? So I'll be honest, and I'm not. Oh, you're part of the problem. No. For me to be the solution, I'd have to run for government. But I'd need to get enough power that I could actually shape change, and I'm realistic. So no, I just see the current system as a complete waste of time, because it'll just go left, right, moan. You get Labour spending, Conservative retractions, and they siphon off until the ways, and it goes back again. That's just the UK in history. So I just see it as a waste of time. But my point being is, this system itself is flawed. It's not working. It hasn't been working for a long time. See, when I think back, you go, well, when did it work? I'll ask you that question. When did it work? Because I don't know. I really don't. I've got no answer where you go, yeah, dude. Because every time they have a boom year, you see, or boom 4 years or whatever, it comes with recession or cutbacks anyway. It's never balanced. So unless you've got something like the resources of Venezuela, and we all know how well they're doing, it's difficult to see how you can maintain a continuation. But the problem you've got here is we're obsessed with this word called growth. Growth is financial. That's it, financial. There's a fear of retraction where things start to reduce. So if you imagine you got big companies that hold pension funds, hold investment funds, they're buying up properties to rent out, which then means they've got a guaranteed rental increase per year because it can increase the market because they're actually controlling the market. Because if you own large quantities of estates, you're controlling the rental market and you're starving the resale market, which means the demand for the property values increases because the demand's increased, and you control the market. As such, the rents increase because there's less property to buy, too expensive for most people, balloons. Now, it's a failed model. It's nothing more than a bloody Ponzi scheme, because you need the workers, you need the people that are churning the cash. And we're flooding the UK with people from other countries that simply aren't providers. And it doesn't matter how you cut it, a lot of people in the UK aren't providers. If you look at the amount of people that work in the UK, just look at the numbers. I think you'll be surprised how little the economy works on so many people. So few people. So we've created a system that is relying on benefits, relying on living off others, and we're expecting it to continue, even though we've just flooded the nation with people that are often low to unskilled, often not the most intelligent people on the planet. Where do you think this is going to end up? Where do you think it's going to end up? You go back to the fishing village. Out of the 40 people, only 5 of them work. The rest all sit around doing nothing all day. There's 2 options for the 5 people. One, they will have to work harder and hope that they can generate enough for 40 people. Or 2, they just up and leave the rest behind. Because when we're talking about the exodus of millionaires and stuff, that's what that is. That's the money going. Because you're not just losing people, you're losing the people that generate cash. See, it's like me. I've thought about it for years about opening another company in the UK, and I just can't see the benefit. I really can't. It's just everybody's in your pocket. And years ago, I mean, I had a small furniture business a long time ago, and you got council tax and all these bills. And on top of that, they make it difficult, with planning permissions and everything else. I know somebody go, oh, well, you moan about it. It's like, yeah, but the point is, these days, it's not even worth my time going through the motions. That's what I'm saying. There's that much being taken. There's very little incentive to do. Now, I sit in quite a good position work-wise, so I'm not grumbling about my own position. Although, if I was without this Spanish setup, I would be wondering what the hell am I doing with my life. I really would. So at the moment, I've got a few focuses going on. I'll just give you four focuses. First one, get the mortgage going. Second one, pay the new car off, because there's probably about £8,000 on that to pay. Want to buy the farm, want to buy the motorbike. 4 things. Keep it simple. Finish my master's degree, or level 7. See, level 7 is a bit weird because they call it level 7, but it's the equivalent of a master's. So I don't know whether to just call it a Masters, but I ain't whinging anyway. Um, I finished that with a distinction, so that's finished. I can do my MBA, but I've missed this year, so that's quite good because it means I can focus on other stuff, which is why today I've managed to get a video out, and I'm busy playing Soviet Republic, I think it is, where you build cities and stuff. I haven't played it all week, so just to be confirmed, I'm not a strong gamer. I've been too busy. um, but my point being is, Matt, you were just talking about socialists and whatever, and you're building socialist cities. Yeah, I know. I get it. See, this is the weird thing for me. You might find it a bit weird with me. But I try and understand everything from other people's concepts because that's how I get the bigger picture. Because I can't see a lot of the arguments I see out there are illogical if you take it from a logical perspective. But then if you take it from the illogical perspective, like you flying the St. George's flag, you're a racist, right? That is just a dumb statement. But a lot of people will make that statement because in their head, football thug, that's the sort of mentality. That's them, that's not you. You're flying the flag of your country. Like I said, it's not my that's not my colours, that's not my country, and I have no issue with it. In fact, fly as many as you like. Because I mean, the weird thing is we're even talking about this because I think it might be the Indian embassy in London. The flag is like on a rotunda, and it's massive. It must be about 6 stories high. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about all the pride flags that Sadiq put in London, or when the cricket's on, or when Pakistan wins or something, and people driving around with a flag beep, 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 in the cars and whatever. No, the flag of the nation. It's cutting through my heart like a knife. Idiots, mate. Absolute idiots. Now I get they're fearing the change because the change is coming, and I'm not on about in the transgender way. The change is coming because the pendulum has swung too far to the left, and they've just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. History has always dictated it's not a twig. It's not going to snap. It's a spring. You're coiling a spring, and when it coils and goes too far, it doesn't come back lightly. It doesn't come back slow. It smacks you in the face, and that's what they need to stop doing. They need to start leveling up to a bit of common sense and stop lying so much, because people can see through it. I mean, I've got to admit, I've been looking at some of the stuff I've had to deal with lately, and I do wonder about IQ levels. But then I was listening to something on Thursday about how this was all sort of injected into the system. Now we're getting into conspiracy theories, but like I said, I review everything because then you get the bigger picture. And they were talking about like the dumbing down of education and stuff is to create workers, not thinkers, which is correct. I struggled in education, not out of stupidity, formality, because I would challenge things, even simple things. Like I remember doing I was on a computer class, and we're talking about input outputs, and the teacher said, "Oh, is a printer an input or output device?" And I says it's both, and he says no, it's wrong. I says if it's wrong, how does it know the buffer's clear? Yeah, but that's above this class level. That was his response. Basically, yeah, you're right, because the printer needs to know that his memory's been full, cleared, and it's ready for the next batch. But that's above the classroom's level. That's a simple one. In Spain, they use this block system for maths when you're in preschool or it's a primary school. I have no idea because they all Americanized it. It's all been a bit weird. So you've got boxes where you put the numbers in, and it's this long-handed nonsense. And I even challenged the school on it and why the hell the kids are doing this, because my kids do maths properly. They know how to do maths since they were little. Ubi started school at 2.5. So they're very, very switched on. And you're teaching them mathematics for idiots. And I said, where would you use this maths? Because there's a box system. If you know it, you know it. If you don't worry about it. But I said, who would use this? I says, if you're a waiter or a waitress in a restaurant or bar, it would take you 5 minutes to take an order and work out how much it cost. It's just stupid. And the school come back and says, yeah, we know, but it's the whole Valencian or national region, so we have to do it. But we agree with you. Oh, and by the way, once they go to secondary school, they'll learn how to do maths properly. Right. So you dumb it down in primary school, and then they have to learn a whole new system in secondary school, when it could have been almost like a language, native. You know, your native language, because you've worked in those mathematics since you were a little kid. Instead, you teach them a system that was designed by somebody who was no good at maths. That's the person I want. Hi guys. This is Mike. Mike's our pilot. He's no good at flying planes, but we'll give him a shot. I wouldn't want that scenario. Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll teach your kids dumb maths, because if they struggle with maths, they'll be okay because they've got the dumb maths. If I allow the kids that actually can do maths, oh, forget that. They'll learn it later. They'll learn the proper maths later. That's what you're dealing with. That's what you're fighting against. So if you've got kids, I tell you now, spend a bit of time understanding what they're being taught. Spend a bit of time teaching them stuff. You probably realise I spend a lot of time invested in my kids, even though I'm away from home too much. I'm the first one to admit it, too much. The reality is on this, I do invest a lot of time in my kids. That's why my kids have got a lot of musical instruments. They have tutors, they have, I'll do everything I can. And my wife's the same. So my wife's like what do they call it? A tiger mother anyway. So she makes sure they're doing well at school. But she'll sit there and argue about the stuff. But I'm not really worried about the normal stuff with my kids, to be fair. It's the left wing weird stuff that bothers me. But I'm not really seeing it as much in Spain. It's obviously going on because Sanchez is left wing, but thankfully he's got enough scandals going on at the minute. I don't think he's in at the next election. Worth looking at him and his family and what they've been up to. So from my perspective, I don't see my kids struggling next. Well, where we've got the problem is we're influxing with people that are dead weight. And I don't mean it in a bad way either. I'm talking realistically. We're in the rise of AI. We're in the rise of automation. So the job market's declining. And our bright idea is to increase populations. It should be the opposite. It should be declining. We don't need those populations. If you're having a space station, a space station's a bit narrow. If we're colonising Mars, every person has a excessive cost to exist on Mars for the food and everything, just to keep them alive and whatever, is excessive, right? So you've got a limited space. Everybody's got to have speciality skills. They've all got to tow their weight. And then a spaceship turns up with another 400 people in it. that were told they could get everything for free. I know it sounds a bit weird, but the point being is, if you're in a speciality, like say for example, the UK is predominantly driven, I think, from the financial markets, and a lot of it's to do with the offshoring. If you look at the way historically, as the empire was reduced and the banking system was altered for things like I always forget it. Is it Caicos? You know, these offshore bank accounts that people have. That was all altered as the UK changed, because that's why the UK's remained a financial power. We've maintained a lot of our controls in the financial markets while our industries and everything else have just withered away. So the problem you've got here, why would you want more people? We've got less industry, we've got increasing costs of living. Thanks to Rachel Reeves, the job market's shrinking. The education levels are dropping. The hostilities are climbing. The reality is, don't need them. Don't need them. And you'll probably go, oh, you live in Spain though, you? You live in Spain. I go, yeah, I do. I don't do. I own my house. I've even set up, well, I'm starting to set up funds for my wife, whatever, so that if I drop dead tomorrow, she'll have a pension fund to keep her afloat without me. Nothing I have is state. I set it up that way because I never wanted to be a burden of state, because it was never ingrained in me. I come from a family of military. As such, our ethics and moral codes are tied on you're only as strong as your weakest person. So why would I keep adding weak people to my to my group? Because the group just keeps declining if you do it that way. And I know I sound quite mocking on this. It's not because I'm actually mocking, it's because of the stupidity of why people think this generates growth, when at the same time you look around, food's going up, electric's going up, gas is going up, housing demand's gone up, rents are up. No, it's all better for everybody. It's not. It's not. It's madness. It's absolute madness. But you can see my attitude's changed a little bit. That's because I've actually changed companies as well. I've gone back to being my usual self after finally exiting the last place. But it's been good. I mean, the last month's been quite good. The new company's fantastic. Nice people. I'm finding there's some good knowledge in there, a lot of good skill sets, a lot of positive people. And now I sound like somebody's doing a bit of what do you call it, PR for the firm. But I'm not even going to tell you which firm it is. It's just that it's after being in such another environment, it's weird because everybody's nice, everyone's focused on the outputs, everyone's worked together. It's nice. It's a change. But anyway, yeah. So I'm on the up. I mean, I've been buying plants as well, as you probably see. I do recommend if you live in one of these little things full time, get yourself some plants. They do look after you because it gives you something to get up in the morning and do. You know, because you do look after them. He's looking a bit. So this one, I know it's this morning. Where is it? But it's not too bad now, actually. It was looking a bit down this morning because he was starting to wilt a little bit. And what it was is I put him over here behind my fan, and I don't think he was getting enough sunlight. But the weird thing is, I moved him about 2 hours ago, and I've just gone and thought, oh yeah, he was lucky. Oh, he's already all right now. There you go. I do like plants, by the way. I've got hundreds of them. And next to him there's another one, just over there. Because I do like them. I do think they offer some positivity in the madness that we deal with. Oh yeah, music-wise, I'll talk about this as well. I've started getting back into music a lot. Um, this is my new little stereo, by the way. This one, it's a Roxel. I do. It's not the best speakers. It's not tinny, but it's only 70 quid, so it's not the same level as my Bose, for example. So I'm not knocking it because it was 70 quid, but it's a CD player. Um, but the fact is, having the music's got me partly back to where I normally am, because I get so fixated on work and just cracking on with stuff, that I often I don't take enough time for myself, and that's why I've started spending a little bit of money on myself, and I'd recommend doing exactly the same. So what have I bought this week? So this is Scott Stamp. You probably think, oh my god, this literally is God music. Scott Stamp is from Creed. I've seen Creed in Manila live, and actually met the band. I actually paid for the VIP and met the band as well backstage. So I bought that. Didn't even know what it sounded like, but it's all right. It's not the best, but it's okay. This guy's Youngblood. I didn't even know who this guy was. This is how I ended up buying all these CDs. My wife had mentioned that Ozzy Osbourne had died. Right? I didn't know. And then I listened to him at Ozzy's concert, and he sounded pretty good. And I think he's from Bolton. The guy's called Youngblood. So that's a good album, actually. I would recommend listening to it. Just start off on YouTube before you spend any money. But it's quite a good album. But all it was is I seen him at the Ozzy Osbourne thing, and I thought, yeah, I'll buy his album. I liked it. What else have I got here? Ozzy Osbourne's Randy Rhoads tribute. Black Sabbath album. Depeche Mode, the singles. And one that cost me a few quid, because I've got this, The Hives new album. Oh, just thrown it straight out. I got it on vinyl as well as a CD, and it comes with this. So you get a lovely little book, you know, the lyrics and stuff. But because I paid for the signed ones, I've got the signed copies, signatures of the band members. Mate, you sound like a teenager. No, I just love music. And I didn't realise how much I'd missed music, to be fair. And one of the things I will say is, like, getting these things over shoving the playlist, it makes it more real, more genuine, but also you're not suffering with the compression that you get with trying to squeeze them on Spotify or whatever for downloads. You're getting the most authentic versions. Now you're seeing how bad I am with music. But yeah, I'm glad I've gone back to the music. It keeps you sane. Keeps you sane. So the farm. Move on. I'm going to do a long video today. I ain't done one for a while. The farm. I've been looking at land, and there's a lot of opportunities out there. A lot. Um, I shouldn't even say it because you twats are going to buy farms before I get mine, aren't you? But I would have a look round Almira. There's a lot of good properties around there. I've seen a nice one with it had two like chalets, wooden chalets. So they're 2 bed chalets. So it's like a luxury garden shed on a hectare of land. Now, bear in mind, I want it as a bit of a retreat. That sounds about right for me. That was only, I think, 45,000 euros. 45,000. I seen one this morning, 299,000 from 375,000. 7 bedroom house. I think it's 5 or 7 bed with its own bull ring, stables, and whatever. It used to be owned by a bullfighter. Massive place. So I'm sitting there looking at this stuff, and then it was funny yesterday because one of my son's friends have come back. Um, he decided to do his own thing for a while. So my son had sort of like lost contact, and he's come back, and they're all best mates, and that, you know what teens are like. And I was just thinking, because they're at that age group where if I can get the right location, it can become a bit of a hub. Because like I said, I'm here most of the time, so I don't mind the lads going up to the farm and living up there for like during the summer holidays and stuff. You know, obviously I'll put bloody security cameras in up there to keep an eye on because you know what kids are like. When I say kids, my kids are 50. My kid's 15 now. My son's 15 now, so it's not like they're not like little kids, but you know, keep them out of trouble. So I'd have Starlink with a bloody camera set up to keep an eye on them. But for setting up with a band and stuff on a big place, because that's the thing in Spain, where we are on the coast properties are tight. It's maximised property values. It's a bit like in the Philippines, you buy a condo, it's like a shoebox that costs as much as a farm. So having the house nearly paid off, the farm is the next entity, and I want ideally with a lake. I know I'm asking a lot, or near a lake would be good because then we can do boat stuff and things, and fish it and making it a proper retreat. But also, I don't want it to be my project. I want it to be a bigger piece. Yes, I'll own it. The reason for that is it keeps all the complexities of people arguing out of it. You know, if you go down the socialist route again and have about 10 people, every decision's by the 10. Where if it's mine, I can control the steering of that. So if somebody like, say, Dave, Dave and mate, I don't know that many Daves, so the Daves I know wouldn't do this anyway, but I'm just going to call it this person Dave. They're not a real person. I want to put a chalet at the bottom field on this bit, blah blah blah. Is there where I live down there? Yeah. we'll work with the town hall and get your planning permission or whatever. And I'd probably just say it remains, it's my land, and to avoid ownership issues, we'll do a contract or rental or whatever, even if it's €1 a year or something, because it's to avoid all the legal pitfalls that Spain is riddled with when it comes to land ownership. Because I'm chilled out and whatever, but I'm not giving stuff away. Not in that context where it could become a legality, because it's not Dave that could be the problem. Dave could die and his wife becomes a problem that I don't even know, suddenly laying claim to my land and all that sort of nonsense. So yeah, as you see, it'll be a complex beast, but I do think the community stuff will build on it quite quickly. I'm looking forward to that. I think this is going to be my legacy bit, because bear in mind I'm in my 50s now. developing a community with solar stuff and everything else is not a 5 minute project. I think it's going to take me about 5 years, realistically, and that's if I had all the funding in motion now. So it may take me up to my deathbed, but I'm looking at it from a project perspective. It'll make a difference to a community. If I can make this work, it can be replicated. Because for me, the whole community involvement piece of bringing elderly together, adults with learning difficulties, and Joe Public in declining areas is, I think, that regeneration piece tied with everything else makes the one sustainable environment re-sustainable. Doesn't mean people will always stay there, I'm not stupid, but if you can create an environment where people want to be there, and you got your ins and outs, you're not controlling anybody. What you're trying to do is actually create an environment people want to be in. It's as simple as that. I think a lot of people want that. If I can get it to work, why not elsewhere? But anyway, so that's the village. The village, the farm. Why a farm instead of a farmhouse? Instead of a village house. Because the farm gives me space. One of the things I've realised with the property on the coast is I'm lacking space. So if I wanted to a backhoe, it doesn't. It's farm equipment. It's basically it's a digger. Just before anybody thinks it's something else. If I wanted a backhoe with a farm, with a garage, I can store one. It doesn't mean I need it all year round, but it means the community's now got one. So if we wanted to, say, put telephone lines in, we can plant the telegraph poles for the telephone company on our land, or dig the trenches, or put irrigation in, or help the other farmers in the area as well, because we've got a backhoe there. I mean, I'm sure they've already got them, but the reality is it's embedding into the community as well. Because let's face it, farming communities all have different things. They've all got different equipment, and they all know things that I don't know. I'm not a farmer. Farming for me is more, I just want a mix of crops, so that we go outside, we've got lemons over here, oranges over there, and whatever we can grow over here. And then some experimental stuff, because where you got dry sand, looking at how we can regenerate that land. I'm looking at some of the desert regeneration stuff and thinking I could probably do some of that stuff. And I know some of the farmers would think I'm mad as a hatter when I do it, but if it works, we've just found a solution that would help others. So yeah, it's a project. These are projects, these are ideas. But if you imagine like being like my son with his mates, having a large house where you've got the security knowing that I'm within hearing distance. I mean, not when I say cameras, I'm talking about there'll be one in like the lounge, and then perimeter cameras. But the point being is there's a flexibility that, you know, for band practice and stuff, take all the gear up there, and they can go and spend weeks up there in the summer, and practice and do stuff and do shooting, archery, big piece of land. Nobody's going to come and whinge at you because we own it. In the same way, if you're one of my friends or whatever, and you want to go up there because you just want to break for 2 weeks, not an issue. Not an issue. Because the whole point of this is it's a project. So, yeah. I mean, I may say, well, if you're going up there for 2 weeks for free, can you dig the trench with the backhoe up to the gate? Yeah, might take you a day, but for 2 weeks, free lodgings, cheapen the electric bill, mate. So what else I've been working on? camera's dipping, isn't it? So we're heading that way. We're heading that way. The motorbike is still on my list. I've got to have a solid think about this, because now my course is finished. I'm going to put it on my whiteboard now, because I forgot about doing my license because I've been so busy with all the stuff. It's got to go on there. I'll do it in Spain because I have to, because I've got a Spanish license. And I can get that done early part of next year, because I need to understand the tests, because a lot of the stuff may be slightly different, so I need to really assess it, which means I have to focus on it, because like going around the roundabout in Spain is different to the UK, so I need to assess it first. So I need to find some books on the Spanish tests that are in English because I need to make sure there's no anomalies in there, otherwise I'm learning the wrong stuff for the test, and then once it's in here it's hard to get it back out and change it. But I think this time next year I'll have my Honda Rebel, and then the question is, do I want it in Spain or do I want it in the UK, or do I get the Spanish plates and drive it over the UK? Things are looking good, aren't they? I do think things are moving in the right direction at the minute. Kids are happy, wife's happy, things are developing. Yeah. Oh, and if you're in Torrevieja, Rock Against Cancer's on September. Recommend going, and if you see me, say hello. Alright guys, I'll leave you to it. I know this is one of my longest videos lately, but I just thought I'd do one because quite simply I haven't done one. Alright, thanks for watching.